interested in the project.
Good.
Right.
Okay. And was Jeff the only person that you were unsure?
One of the Steves
Steve.
I didn't know. Liverpool Steve I didn't know. The other Steve I know. So
Okay.
Liverpool Steve.
Happiness index.
Yeah,
happiness index.
I've been called worse.
Sorry, Steve. It's just yes. With the map, I've got my map behind me, but yours are a bit flashier than mine.
Yours is very old. Yours is lovely.
Yes, yeah, it is an old one. Yeah, it's a nice one.
I'm Stephen Jones. I am a former deck officer, spent most of the time with Cable and Wireless, laying telephone cables. I've worked in various roles across the shipping industry. I've written all the maritime security books for the Nautical Institute, currently spending most of my time working for the Department of International Trade at the moment, helping UK companies to export. I'm also founder of the Seafarers Happiness Index, so I work with the Mission to Seafarers on that. And I'm up in Liverpool, and that's about it, I think. It's been a hot, long day.
Mine's not going to be too painful. Don't panic. I'm going to make you suffer. So. Do you want me to do a quick intro for those of you who don't know me? Quickly, very, very quickly. So I'm an HR professional for many, many years, a maritime for 12 years, and I was an in-house HR director for AET, so American Eagle Tankers that was, but part of the MISC and Petronas Group, but also global talent director. Moved from there to Spinnaker. I've been heading up the consultancy, HR consultancy section of Spinnaker for the last 5 years. So benchmarking pay, etc., but also leadership and development bits and pieces. But a passion really in terms of really putting HR and the people side of maritime really for everything in terms of people orientated. I'm on the board of ISWAN, I'm on the board of trustees of ISWAN. I work in diversity in maritime. I chair one of the groups in diversity in maritime. I work on the careers skills careers task force with the Maritime UK, and I've just been appointed as one of the commissioners for the Maritime Skills Commission, which is good from a professional services point of view in HR. Sadly, Spinnaker have closed the consultancy department down, well, my section of the business down at Spinnaker in the last month. So I'm currently Karen Waltham Consulting, and looking forward to helping other people carrying on the HR side of things. So I don't change. It's just Spinnaker have chosen not to deliver that kind of business anymore, but they're keeping on the recruitment side only. But it's fine for me. I've got enough to do and keep me busy. So more than happy with this kind of project where you've been going forward with this to really talk about the people side of things, which is my passion. So that's my background.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen.
Does that mean you know somebody called Julie Lithgow?
I know Julie very well.
Yeah.
Yep, I do.
I've been very much involved with the Institute at a number of committee levels since 1983. And of course, I was actually instrumental in bringing her onto the Institute. Certainly helped. It wasn't only me, but I certainly helped. At the time, as you probably know, if you know her that well, she was with us much longer.
Yes, exactly. I do know.
Yeah. Susan Oatway, likewise, do you?
I don't know Susan as well. No, not personally, no. So know the name and know the connections, but I don't know her personally.
Okay. And the names Teresa Peacock and Steve Cox and Phil Parry, of course, are known to you.
Yes, so they were my business owners, and Teresa was my oppo. She managed the recruitment side of the business. I was the director of the managing director of the consultancy side of the business. Yeah.
Fine. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. So the next thing we're going to do is go on to updates and actions from the last meeting, and then following that we're going to go on to Karen's presentation of the toolkit. So I can just bring that up. Let me just see, and then we can just go through it. Daryl and I will go through it just to see where we're at with all the actions. So I'm going to share my screen. Oh, excuse me. Let's just see I've got the right one. If it opens up. All right, just bear with me a second.
Version 0.3.
I can.
Nah, I did have it.
Well, I've done it. Is that?
You got it?
Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what? Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we're okay on one, are we? Yes? No?
Yeah.
We've got everyone is up to date. May I say, Fenna, you posted it was a very nice headshot of you at Aquiles, which I thought was far better than the one you sent us. So if you want to use that instead.
Oh wow, I thought it was the same one I sent you, but
no, it was a professional one they did. I saw something on your LinkedIn from your company, your new. Anyway,
the one of you because that is about 10 years old, which is probably why I didn't send it.
Oh, fine.
But I'll send that over to Carla if she wants it. It's fine.
Yeah.
You've seen the one we put up for you though, haven't you?
Haven't.
It looks fun. Oh, right, okay. No, the one of the two you sent me, we've put up. It looks very nice. So.
Thanks, Carla. You're the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do visit our mentor page because it's all up. You know, we've got headshots and biogs and everything else. It's looking pretty decent now. So do visit that.
Okay. And then
I'm sure I did that. Is everyone comfortable finding those documents on Google Docs because they are pretty critical, particularly the mentor session.
Well, more so the mentor session records, because it's important that you fill them in when you've had a session with a mentee, that you fill in the form. And I've actually got one I can show you, just so that you know that it's not too onerous. So I'll show you that after. Let's just go through the rest of this and then we can talk about that.
So that leads on to 3, which is completing the records.
Yeah.
We'll
we'll pick up on that after.
That's ongoing.
Promoting the Coming Ashore through your own social channels. I don't know if that's
I've not seen
doing that. I know that Steve has, because Stephen, I can't see his image, but oh bless you, Stephen, you asked me about a mentee, and I did respond and say that they had actually signed up to the program, so obviously they've came via you, which is great. Thank you for that, Steve Cameron. I don't know if any of the others are able to promote the Coming Ashore program through other channels. If so, where?
Well, I mean, it's the members group, isn't it? The people who've registered are in that group. So if you're able to put something just about yourself, or maybe a little prompt, or just a little video of encouragement or something, I think these messages will help. And then obviously through your own network as well.
Yeah, I definitely found when I put something up in the members group that I got quite a few people coming back to me. We were talking about it yesterday. I've had 4 or 5 different people contacted me outside of the group to say they want to talk about CVs and stuff. So they definitely want to say, hi, this is who I am, and talk to me.
Oh, great. That's great.
I've had a couple of people coming in to ask me, not directly through Coming Ashore, but from a couple of universities where I have lectured, and they want some help with careers and so forth. And some of them, 2 of them, were at sea and are now ashore, but they have colleagues who want to come ashore.
Right.
I'm spreading that way.
Okay. Okay. It's interesting for us to hear all the different routes that, you know, people are finding their way to come ashore, because it help maybe with our marketing and reaching out to seafarers who want to come ashore. So, I mean, just letting us know the different routes that you've got people coming in is helpful to us. Okay. So the next one, establish a clear process with mentees to manage their expectations and awareness of engagement with the program.
Yeah. Well, we made a bit of a start. I mean, this is around the discussion we had that, you know, what do people expect when they join the program, you know, and setting that, you know, getting that clearly communicated. So one of the things we're now doing is Bindu, our administrators, are emailing everyone with a sort of a follow-up email and just breaking it down a bit for them and encouraging them to get back in touch. So we're doing it by better communication, I think. So we're still working this out as to what that could look like in terms of what they're expecting. But I think with the numbers we got, we can manage it by individual contact actually.
Yeah.
Which is what we started to do.
Mm-hmm.
But need to do more.
Okay.
Next one.
So suggest self or possible peer colleagues for expert webinars. So yeah, here we'd like to kind of have more podcasts or webinars on, you know, routes into shoreside roles, and what the possibilities are. And I don't know if you would have any peers or colleagues. I know Jeff has done, you know, one or two already. If there's anyone else who would know anyone who could do one themselves on, you know, a webinar on a route to a shoreside role, or what that would entail, that would be helpful to those coming ashore. Any comments about that?
I think Simon offered to do something last time, didn't he? He chased him up about that.
Yeah. Okay. Simon Jones. Okay.
Thank you, Stephen.
Okay.
He's just shared a nice, looks like an article from the Propeller Club.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. That's good to know, actually.
Okay.
Okay.
The next one, record. Oh, that's us, Fenna.
Yeah.
Record.
Crack on.
Yes.
I my birthday last week, so I wasn't really around. So
okay.
Something in the diary. So let me know when we'll put it in.
Happy belated birthday. And
week-long birthday.
Sorry?
It's a week-long birthday.
Right. So we got away lucky that it was only a week this time. So yeah.
We'll be in contact, Fenna, to get that done. I've got some questions ready, and we can just set up a Zoom meeting for that, and then we'll get that done. Okay.
No problem.
Great. Agreed content and delivery of expert webinars.
That was Simon one.
That was Simon.
Yeah. Related to what we said there. So we need to follow up Simon on that. Get the input in place.
Yeah. Consider adapting approach to support for those temporarily affected by the pandemic.
I think that was something Nick raised, wasn't it? I think about a broader picture. I mean, there's a lot happening. I mean, there's so much activity at the moment, isn't there? Reaching out to seafarers and various initiatives and stuff.
Yeah.
I think we were just expecting more people to be coming ashore because of the sort of fallout nature of this.
I suspect. Sorry, please excuse the tongue-in-cheek response, Dale. I suspect that's because they're all still stuck on ships.
Yeah.
But what's quite interesting is the people that I've spoken to. Is that they really don't have a feel for the jobs market ashore, and they're saying things like, "I want to come ashore because it's so bad at sea." To which my first response is, "Okay, well, how do you think the jobs market is ashore at the moment?" And I don't know what we can do in just providing people. I mean, it comes out during the mentoring process, but if there's anything we can do to provide them with a slightly more balanced approach to what's going on, I don't know if that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that that sounds almost like a reality check, isn't it? That if they think if it's bad at sea, like you're saying, when you come ashore, it's not all that fantastic. That might push them back, stay at sea. So
I've had that with one of my mentees. Yeah, I've had that with one of my mentees actually.
That's exactly what you guys are doing. That's when they speak to you as mentors. That's one of the first things you'll tell them and make them realise and give them that check. So I think that's exactly what the project's doing, isn't it? I mean, short of putting a disclaimer on the website saying, think twice before you come ashore. Grass is not greener, which that would be tongue in cheek, but because we are all about helping them come ashore. But it's a very valid point, isn't it? And
but it's also more that it's not kind of a knee-jerk reaction. It's more successful when it's a long-term planned approach to it,
Yeah.
not just as a knee-jerk reaction to something. So, yeah.
Short of saying, for example, short of saying that they are actually physically safer, healthier and safer staying on board than coming.
Yeah.
That of course is short term, one hopes, and what we're trying to do, of course, is looking at the bigger long-term picture. What you're saying, I think.
Can I just let you all know that Simon Jones has just joined us?
Yes.
So, hi, Simon. Thank you for
Hi.
joining us.
Hi guys, sorry I got delayed at work.
That's okay. Glad you're here. So we were just going through the actions from the last meeting. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one about you doing the expert webinar, Simon.
Yes. Just in time.
Yeah. Thanks. All right, we better crack on. How we?
Yeah. Okay. And then we're going to arrange a date for the next meeting.
Done that.
Yeah,
This is the next
around
meeting.
time.
Okay.
That was Okay. So let's just.
Right. I need to stop sharing, don't I?
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to introduce Karen, I think, aren't we?
Yep. Karen.
Yep. Shall I let me see if I can get mine to work now and get my presentation up. 2 secs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just while you're doing that, Karen, it's worth saying, obviously, Karen is the author of this toolkit. So we are, I need to say, getting it from the horse's mouth and all that. But she did write this as a swan song from Spinnaker, and we procured it from them. I think we're the first organisation to sort of use it in this way. It hasn't really gone public yet, I don't think. So it's really good. Karen's giving sort of her time to just sort of talk her through some of the aspects, how she envisaged it being used. And I said, look, we've got lots of experienced people on in the group, but I think she's going to give us some great pointers as to what she thinks, how we can best use this document. And I can see she's frozen at the moment, so we're probably completely lost.
I can hear you, but can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
It hasn't come through yet.
I think Daryl, you need to unshare your screen.
You need to unshare your Daryl.
I have. I'm not sharing anything. I think
I can still see now. I can still see that.
What can you see?
I can still see.
We can all see your screen, Daryl.
Yeah.
Well, at least you can.
Try again.
Yeah. I've stopped sharing, so but,
Right. Well, I'll share mine. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see if it just comes over.
Desktop. Have I frozen now? Share my entire screen. Hang on. I sent these through to Carla as well on the basis that if they didn't work, I could. Right.
Well, yeah, I can do that.
I can't get mine to.
Okay,
What's very strange is that I could share my screen as well. So, and I'm not a host, so I'm slightly confused by this.
Okay, hold on. Let me just.
now in Teams, I believe anyone can share.
In Teams, anyone should be able to. Right. Let. Oh, where's it gone? Why does someone?
Let me just.
Hold on. Let's try. Can you see my screen, everyone?
No, yes, but that's not.
That's
you. Yeah, that's you.
Yeah.
Let's do it that way, because mine's not playing ball. I don't think mine can't come through on there, but as long as we can see that through, that's okay. Can everyone see that screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Except if you could please move the toolkit to the top of the screen rather than halfway through the slides, that would be really helpful. Toolkit which shows.
You can't, Jeffrey. It's one of those ridiculous things with Teams. It's
all right.
It just appears.
That should work, I think, if everyone can see that. So, and if you'd be kind enough, Carla, just to move them on when I ask you to. Is that all right? Is everyone happy with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
It might help, Carla, if you move the little arrow to the right, so that we don't need to see export PDF, Adobe export, etc. And that will give us more of the slides.
Sure.
Down a bit. On that, we're exactly where you are.
There we go. Yeah.
There
we go.
Right,
that's better.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah. Okay. So let me get going, because otherwise you'll run out of time on your meeting. So I'm conscious that, as Simon's just said, it's arrived, it's the end of your days. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me in. And as Daryl says, as the author of this, it was it's my swan song before I left Spinnaker, but actually this is a piece of work that I did many years ago, which is why I might have retyped it when I was actually before I left, and I'm still leaving, if you like. I don't leave until the end of the month. But in terms of my work, it is my work from many years ago, and I think it was just in terms of the giving you a chance to actually ask me questions, but also give, from my point of view, give you a bit of background as to where it's come from, and why I did it. And in fact, it goes back to days when I was working in the banking industry, and we were talking about mentoring generally. So it was actually for everything from graduates to the talent pipelines we were having, to diverse gaps, actually. So we were using it for all sorts of diversity groups as well. But it was a basis on mentoring for both mentors and mentees. So really what I wanted to do for you today was to pull out what I see as the key points. And I get the impression from all of you that you've kind of had a look through it and you might be already using it. But I just thought that if you heard from me what the key points were, then you can fire away at any questions and maybe clarify understanding. So that's what I really wanted to do. So it's for me, it's the key points. So Carla, next slide, please. Thank you.
Okay.
So the first thing is to say is, from a Wikipedia point of view, what is mentorship? What is it? And it says the Wikipedia definition is: mentorship is a relationship in which a more experienced or knowledgeable person helps to guide a less experienced or less knowledgeable person. The mentor may be older or younger than the person being mentored, but they have a certain area of expertise. And I think that's the thing where people very often have this misconception that I can't be a mentor because I'm not old enough or I haven't got enough experience. As long as you've got more experience than the mentee that you're looking after, that isn't an issue. So I think it's quite important to do that. And I think also a nice little diagram at the bottom there, which in terms of mentoring, improving, developing, training, motivating, coaching, and inspiring. And it's all about actually having that relationship with with the individual. And I'll come back to that a little bit more. So I think, again, at the moment, what I feel, certainly in maritime and the work that I've been doing across the industry for the years I have been doing, mentoring is a new word. It is in some respects, but in terms of how I'd like to see it followed through, not everybody is good at mentoring. Not everybody can be a mentor. Not everybody, works. It doesn't necessarily work out. Very often, though, it's more about the relationship. It's not necessarily about you can't be. Let's say there's some traits, but we'll come back to that in a minute. So, so it's about understanding what mentoring is in a bit more detail. So, next slide, please, Carla. So let's think about what mentoring isn't. And I think this is I wanted to get this slide out right from the word go, because I think, again, people think, and depending on the people that you're already working with and you will work with in the future, people think that it might be, to gain advancement through patronage, etc. It's an opportunity to, complain, or a vehicle for raising complaints. And I left that one in because sometimes it does work in within a company, but actually when you're doing cross company, or like you're doing with the scheme that you're running, I think that this is about, don't let people use it as a complaints, a moan and groan session. It isn't. You're not as mentors. You're not a substitute for a line manager, or ineffective line management or practices or whatever else. And it's not an abdication of mentees' responsibility to develop their own career. So in other words, I'm finding this hard. How do I do it? Can someone else do it for me? And that's not what it is either. And I think whatever I'm talking to you about with the mentoring here, in terms of you as mentors, it's very important that you actually convey that across when you're talking to, or you at least get that out, you get that feel when you're talking to the mentees. So that kind of removes the, the upfront explanation that it's actually, there's an opportunity to discuss lots as you go through the relationship you're building with them. And if any of that comes out, and any of those points there, those 4 points, then it is an opportunity to discuss in a little bit more detail. I have in the past, and it's interesting you saying that about when you're getting some help with some more mentors, etc., coming through, which I think is great. I've worked in one with one scheme in the past where we actually did assessment for mentors and assessment for mentees, and the premise of that was around are the both sides of the relationship, are you really going to be committed to this? And I think that, again, that's one of those things that I can say at this point, which is you don't necessarily want to go through that, but you do need to think about the people who you're signing up to be making sure that they are signing up for the right reasons. I think that's quite important. And you do also need, the word relationship there, the chemistry needs to be right. So it's very important to get the chemistry right with all of those. So next slide, please, Carla. Oh, I've lost Carla.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Next slide. That's it. That's the one. That's it. Thank you. Yeah, sorry. So certain mentoring problems, and it's interesting listening to you about in terms of the the relationships you're having with them already, and these things are beginning to crop up. So some of the pitfalls, and these are elements that I've taken out of the booklet, not necessarily in the right order here, but this is why I think I've raised points within the presentation that I think are very pertinent. So you will find problems and pitfalls, and the most common ones, if you like, tend to be that, again, you're stressing all the way through, it's not about dominating, directing or controlling the mentees' discussions. It's not about being a tutor. I think some people feel they want to be able to directing, and there's the next little me needs to come. Well, that's not about it. It's allowed to grow. It's enabling the mentees to grow. Don't feel that you're an unlimited set of resources for the mentee. Again, if they're struggling and they can't think on their feet, it's encouraging them to think about where they could go. Fine to give them examples, etc. But again, don't become the unlimited resources. You don't have to be an expert in everything. What I think is sounding good already is that there's a number of you who are interested, all of you with different backgrounds. So I know all of you. I know those that I didn't know more now already, and already I know that all of you have got a very diverse set of backgrounds, and I think that if you haven't got the answer to one of the questions, etc., then use each other and bounce off each other, not to redo the relationship, but actually use that expertise. Definitely not being a substitute for effective management, etc. One of the things you have to be very careful of here is, from a confidentiality point of view, you don't start criticizing or being critical of any or opinionated perhaps of any business practices, etc., or those that you may know. That's quite a difficult area to manage. And also, it's not about someone becoming your next clone, or you actually thinking about them as well, or other people will become the same you. They shouldn't be reliant on you. Again, the advancement in terms of it shouldn't be a given. And again, complaints, and try and encourage the mentee to take responsibility. So it's a little bit longer discussion on it, but it's still a point raising, but it is going back to what I said earlier. It's about them to have their own responsibility. And it might well be, and it's a horrible thing to say, and the problem we've got at the moment with all the difficulties with roles is that sometimes you find that actually those of you who heard me speak before say I talk about square pegs in square holes, round pegs in round holes. It might well be during the relationship that you find a mentee is actually a square peg in a round hole, and actually they need some help in perhaps recognizing that, but let them come to those conclusions themselves. Next slide, Carla, please.
Okay.
It's coming up slowly. Is it? No, it's not come up. That's it. Potentially.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
I think there's a bit of a delay.
That's all right. That's fine. That's fine for everyone else. So potential problems for mentors. All of you really need to think about the time that you dedicate to each person, especially if you're taking on more than one mentee. You can get very engrossed. And one thing I would say is that you want to make sure that you do balance that out, and that, again, you don't give too much. That's not being selfish. That's purely being the fact that you're going to give your time. But you can, for those people who really enjoy the giving, then it can be very time consuming. But just on a mental check for yourself, think about how you manage your time. And if you are saying you're giving an hour to somebody, an hour and a half, make sure that you give them that time if that's what they want. They might not need all that time, but actually if you give them that time, but again, careful you don't overcommit. Because if you start overcommitting and you have too many mentees, for example, or depending on how you're managing it, then again, that can weaken the process and weaken the actual or dilute, if you like, the actual relationship yourself, because you're not giving it as much. Exposing your feelings. Body language in this, when you're doing things, you can say things over the phone and be careful with your words and your actions. But again, exposing your feelings, again, facial expressions, etc. You might not like something that something said, or how they're reacting, or they say something you think, oh, but allowing yourself to be impartial, if you like, and exploring and listening, come back to that in a minute, then just be careful with exposing your feelings. But also on the other side, then don't perhaps think that your feelings are there going to be their feelings, because you're in a different situation. So again, it can be, again, sensitive, and not everybody, not all of you will feel very comfortable in sharing your feelings with those that you're mentoring. And of course, there is always a risk for your reputation, because if you are having a mentoring relationship with people, then you are trusting, you're hoping for some respect, etc., and mutual respect and mutual trust. But both from feelings and reputation, you open up to this area of vulnerability. And again, you just need to be mindful of that as you build the relationship. I think also at this point where the potential problems is watch for and have the discussions with the mentees about their time, their expectations, and also in terms of ending the relationship when you're ready, or when the person is ready to end the relationship. There isn't a finite time. It might end for all sorts of reasons, but again, they might not be comfortable. But again, just to help them think about their time, the expectations that they have, and ending the relationship. So again, they're potential problem areas. Next slide, please, Carla.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Slight delay.
Mm-hmm. It's there.
Is it there? Can everyone else see it? Or maybe there it is. So turning on to the positives. It's powerful for personal and professional development. I think that I'm going to say here, right from the word go, is that this actually is a very, very powerful tool for your own personal development. Don't ever forget that. I think that a lot of people think that you're there helping the mentees, but this is also about broadening your perspective. So read this slide, and things that you're reading throughout the toolkit is about you becoming a richer person, you becoming about your own insights, etc. And it's all about how you can actually share and how you can build. You're the mentor because you have more experience or more knowledge than the mentee in that relationship, but actually it doesn't mean to say that they're the mentee, the only one that's growing. As the mentor, this gives you a huge opportunity to grow as well. So the mentor's focusing on support and the broader perspective to help the individual achieve their goals is fine, but actually really it is broader as well, and it is not about performance, and it isn't about advancement, which obviously is within anybody's working environment. That's up to the line management and the business, etc. But this is about growth. This is about inspiration. This is about expanding people's thinking. Which it exactly says the next bullet down. And also in terms of really, for as far as advancement is concerned, really, if the mentee develops qualities that enhance his or performance, then the opportunities will exist. So when you're talking about enriching people, then actually advancement should roll on from there. But this is a very powerful tool, which hopefully will be enlightening for all of you. So I'm delighted that number one we're doing is Marine Society are doing it. I think it's a very, very powerful tool and process. Sea to Shore, most people know me that it's kind of, that's one of my passions. I couldn't never believed when I came into the maritime industry that for me, the talent pipeline wasn't there in terms of you've got sea and shore, and I want the two to mix. So it's a very, very powerful opportunity to get this right and get the people helping. And the earlier it's done, the better, because it will support them all the way through. Right. Next slide, please, Carla.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry to be a pain and interrupt you, but is there a chance, I think maybe Carla,
Yes.
aren't you? Can you not put your mouse onto where it says request control without cutting us off at the bottom and moving that whole bar across to the top? Because the bottom parts of Karen's slides are unfortunately invisible, which is a pity.
Yeah.
What's
That's
this
all on
bar
there.
here?
That
No,
one.
up a bit, up.
That, yeah,
There.
it disappears. This bar here.
The bar which shows that we've been recorded.
Yeah, that's on your own screen.
Yeah, that's on your own screen.
I can't seem to move it, unfortunately.
No, I don't think it will. I think that's on that one. Yeah, Jeff, on that one, that's showing the whole script, the whole slide. That's
Thank
it.
you.
That's lovely. Yeah.
Okay.
The words on the others were the bottom part.
Yeah, they were. You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry.
That's all right, no worries. Point well made. So the behaviours for successful mentoring, from a mentor's point of view, you've got listening at the top, and that I think is the biggest behaviour for me. It's on the list for mentees, but from a mentor's point of view, listening is hard. Listening is effective listening can be very difficult, and I think that's one of the things that, being a good listener, and if you need the practice on that, that's something that, again, having that listening, all sorts of things. So if anyone wants any more help on listening, but I do think that the listening piece is the most vital as a mentor. Questioning, open questions, and what I mean by that, for those who I think probably all aware of what they are, but the how, the why, the what, the when, tell me more, really getting them to draw people out. So good open questions. Challenge, don't abruptly challenge, but do test people, ask them why, why not, if they haven't done things, and be that interested challenge. Disclosure and openness, quite a fine line here for you as mentors, because there is a difference between disclosure and openness. But if you can do both within your own boundaries, then actually each of the mentees will learn more. But I think, again, you have to find your own limits there. Explore opportunities. I think that the mentee hopefully will start thinking about some things you need to help them think outside the box. But actually, this is an opportunity for you to think outside the box and explore things that maybe you haven't thought of before to help them. So this is where you get the learning in as well. So be open to the fact that it's very beneficial if you explore other opportunities. Contracting. Right from the word go, it's important to just agree what the contract is all about. And I don't mean that in a formal sense. I mean that in a relaxed environment, but also from a contract point of view in terms of what they hope the mentee wants to get out of this, but also what you're prepared to give. So if you contract to say, for example, you'll give an hour every month or an hour a week or something, make sure that you can actually, come up with those goods and that they are going to do the same thing. So contracting, and again, make sure that you do that from a mentor's point of view. So again, lead on that area. Judgment free is, again, can be difficult for some. I've met mentors in the past who said, well, actually, they wouldn't come around to my way of thinking. Well, it might not be what they want to think. And actually, you do have to be judgment free on things like this. Again, goes back to the, exploring opportunities and being open to listen to things. And the supporting, from being a mentor's point of view, that supportive environment is, you can agree to differ on things. You can agree that, things you don't necessarily see eye to eye things, but in a particular topic or a particular way or something that they're doing. But actually, by saying that you are, and by contracting that you will be supportive, still enables that person to feel that they have actually got somebody they can still talk to. From a mentee's point of view, and this again for mentors, and bear in mind, we're not talking to the mentees, we're talking to the mentors, but you as mentors need to make sure that the mentees are doing this and be encouraged to. They need to be open-minded. They really do need to think about, if they're looking to make some changes, you can't make change unless you have an open mind that it might even be a small change, a very minute change, but a small change might be very vital. So again, they need to keep open mind. Questioning, they need to be questioning. They really need to be, asking you. They need to come to you with, questions in their preparation for their sessions, not you leading the session. They need to come to you with the ideas and things that they want some help with. They again need to listen. So again, listening techniques and getting them to understand this, how listening can be better. Outcome and objective setting. They, as mentees, you should be able to see that they want some outcome right from the word go. Some of them might need help understanding what they could get from the mentoring relationship, but I think it's about you driving the fact that that's what they actually, they can get more out of. Reflection. Mentees will gain an awful lot by just sitting back, reflecting on time, thinking about the help that they've got. If they've got 5 pieces of advice or 5 pieces of things that you're talking about, they might decide to go down one particular route, but that's one route, might not be the same as you might choose, because yours as a mentor, different experience, different background, different whatever it might be, but they choose. They need to reflect, they need to think about things and not just sort of act. So having a reflective mindset, but also they need to be assertive. Mentees, if you come across, or if you've got people who tend to be passive, then there's a danger that you as the mentor will become the leader of that relationship, which is driving them, which is not what you as a relationship support wants to do. So again, it's getting them to think about them being assertive in their own mind, and actually they might need some help on how to be assertive and come out in better in that particular way. So again, behaviors for successful mentoring, just think about those as you go through. And it might well be, I heard you say about filling in your mentoring logs, etc. You might want to just think about some ticks. I'll come back to the other sheets in a minute, but when it comes to these, were those things that you saw? How were you yourself? How did they exhibit these things that you can be seeing? So thank you, Carla. Next slide.
Can I just ask something about this one?
Yeah. Yes.
Is it a good idea that mentors, or do they already kind of go through these at the start of their first mentor session with mentees about what mentees should be doing or could be doing to make the kind of relationship more successful, more productive?
Yeah, I don't know whether anyone wants to say what they're doing already, but in the toolkit there are some checklists in terms of where, as met from a mentor's point of view, are you seeing it? And I refer to it later in one of my last slides. But really, people do need to be looking for these things, because to support them, both the mentor and the mentee need to be checking that this is what they're getting from the relationship. Has anyone started one? Can they say whether they've looked for these kind of behaviours already?
I've not, but are they the checklist that you have on your pages 15 and 16 of your booklet?
Yeah. That's right. So again, it comes out in that. So it's being mindful of it, because you can get very quickly into a mentoring relationship. This is what I'm going to do, but forget that actually to make it successful, it's working hard at getting all the best traits out, if you like, getting all the best behaviours out. Brilliant. Yeah. Thanks, Carla. Thanks for that. Okay. So, and I'll come on to, I'll get you to move the slide up a little bit. That's it. That's perfect. Thank you. So to Joe, so you can see the bottom. So from a mentoring process, it is very much about getting to know each other and agreeing the basis for working together. All right. And it's very much about building rapport. I've had many examples where the rapport hasn't worked, the chemistry hasn't worked. So if it doesn't feel right from the word go, please don't ignore that. Please, admit that it doesn't feel good, and say so, because I think that, if you can have a better relationship with somebody else, then that's more enriching for them and for you being the mentor, and for them going forward, both of you. So make sure there's a building of rapport. Set the direction. What are the things that need to be tackled? What are the priorities? Again, this really needs to be driven by them, but also making sure that they've got the right mentor, that you can support them. You might not be the most expert person, but again, if you've got more knowledge, more experience on this particular one, then again, the matching is very good. And again, as you build up your mentor base and the people who are helping being mentors, once you've built that base, you've got more people to play with. But careful you don't all take on the load at the moment, depending on what mentees come through. But also to the point that you made in the earlier discussion, you know, looking to see where you're getting people from and how they're coming to you. There's never a right time or a wrong time to come ashore, you know, or looking at the process. To me, the earlier they talk about it, the better. Someone challenged me many years ago at the UK Chamber at an event, say, you know, why are you talking to cadets about it? Because I'd rather people knew what, you know, going ashore was like, and they had more knowledge of it, so they know what was coming in the future of their life, whenever that might be, And so take out the action part with regular contact and activity. So, you know, that's when, if you are doing it, what are you doing it, how regularly? But also, when the mentee's going to move on, you know, 6 months, a year, probably 6 months maybe, and see. But if you're only going to have, you know, meetings every 2 months, then you're going to get 3 sessions out. So it depends on, you know, what you're actually doing. Was that someone going to ask a question? Sorry. Nope, fine. So that's the mentoring process. So build your rapport, set direction, make progress, and move. And then when you're ready, move on. So that's the process. Next slide, please. Just a couple more, I'm conscious of time. So the effective mentee will take responsibility for driving their own development. This is what you should see. Oops, the next one back again.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Don't worry. Initiate mentoring meetings and take active role in discussions. Don't lead the when's the next meeting. They should be actually driving that for you. You know, bring real situations and issues, development needs to the meetings. That you should be hearing that. They should be able to, you know, you should be talking with them about those situations. If they're not and they are struggling, that's when you can use your open questions. Tell me about a situation. How have you done that? What was the situation there? You know, and get them to open up, which might be hard for them initially, but you know, they really do have to bring really development needs to the meetings. They do need to be sharing experiences openly, think for themselves, and challenge intelligently. I don't mean that glibly. I do mean, you know, getting them to think it through, whatever stage of their career they're at. But also to be prepared to receive actions and updates and update the mentor on the progress, because if they're not going to play their part in that, you've talked about and agreed about this person's going to go away and do something next time they get, you know, they're on a voyage, or they're going to talk to somebody, or they're going to try something out, then they need to try it. They can't steer away from that. They do need to implement the agreed actions and update the mentor on the progress. They do need to do that. And also the last bullet that Jeff, no one can quite see, is complete and I've got it in I've put it in brackets 6 monthly. So complete a 6 monthly review of the mentoring meeting. So really, they should be driving and you should be at the receiving end of, you know, are you reviewing it every 6 months? Are you thinking about how there you go. That's all right. Don't worry. It's leave it there. That's right. Okay. That's all right. Is, you know, are you reviewing it? How are you getting on? And be honest with each other. Be honest with each other, which goes back to the chemistry. Next slide, please. Thank you, Carla. So the essential tools in terms of the checklist, and those are the ones that you're alluding to, Jeff, those are, you've got a first meeting checklist. So thinking about, so make sure you use that. And every time you have a first meeting with a new mentee rather, sorry, you know, just go through that. And you might just want to refer back to it. Are you still, you know, are you still, you know, thinking about these things? Setting the direction is on page 12, gives you loads of hints and tips. Progression questions, there's some hints and tips in there for mentors and mentees between, you know, pages 13 and 15. You've got your honest validation checklist, 17 to 18, and also the characteristics and selection criteria is on page 21. So again, don't steer away from it. Question I do have, are you sharing the toolkit with the mentees?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Any plans to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we probably need a consensus on that, because everyone will have a slightly different approach. I mean, I think it's valid. I'd be interested in other views, but I don't think there's any.
I was actually going to ask if there is a mentee toolkit, because
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of this stuff you could frame the other way.
Yeah.
Very appropriate mentee.
Yeah.
And setting the relationship up. I think there might be some value in that.
Definitely.
I think there's a value in them having guidance from their perspective. Yeah.
It was written so that actually they could have the toolkit as well. So the whole idea was that they could actually have the toolkit and have understand what's being the both sides of the mentor of the relationship, so that they understand it as well. Otherwise, they might be under misillusion, the wrong impressions with of those that you have. So certainly, when I wrote it initially, it was okay. If you're going into a relationship, this is what you need to think about.
Okay.
If it is going to be shared with the mentees, I mean, for us, it doesn't matter, but if it's going to be shared with, as it were, outsiders, then at the risk of stating the flipping obvious, presumably the footer at the bottom showing Spinnaker must be removed and replaced with something like Marine Society Coming Ashore or similar.
Now we've got both. There should be both on there. I mean, we can't remove. This is a Spinnaker publication, Jeff. But we were allowed to add our own. The version you have should have.
The version I have,
that's an issue. It's a publication.
Okay, the version I have is 25 pages with only Spinnaker at the bottom left of every page. That's the one that I was sent.
Okay, I didn't send it, but there is a version with the Marine Society logo on.
I think it's. I think that the idea being that I think if you're going into a relationship with somebody to do that, then it has to be when they're signing up to it. Then they treat the document as something and by way of that's how the relationship should be going. So I think it needs to be thought about. I'm happy to talk about that offline, but I think it is one of those that, or maybe I'm happy to do something else and pull out the mentees piece if you like, and I can certainly do that.
If I could just raise a point, if I may, I just as a mentor without any mentees, I just worry that maybe that does feel like there's barriers, and it doesn't feel like a terribly friendly, embracing process. So I'd much prefer to have a chat with someone informally before we start pushing documents and contracts or whatever to people, because I just think it's a complete turn off.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, when it was written initially, it's a good point, and I think that when it was initially written, it was people saying they wanted to sign up and they wanted to do these things, and it was kind of highlighting this is what you're going into if you're going into it. So people might need to be warmed up to it. I agree. But I think it's food for thought. There's definitely help in there for mentees so that they get the most out of the relationship as well. I think that's the point I'm trying to make.
I think it's a great thing to have up your sleeve, but I just that debate of whether mentees are given access or whatever. I just think, until you actually have that first initial chat and talk, as you said, relationships are so important in this. Then I just worry that we're not getting off on the right foot together in the process. So but as I say, I haven't got a mentee, so who knows?
Okay.
I think that's right, Steve. I think it's your professional judgment as to sort of when to introduce them to something that there's a more formal aspect, because I think it does start off with a bit of sort of informal engagement on LinkedIn or by chat or something, and then you sort of take it to that next level, which you then at that point, I guess you do then start to say, okay, can we just agree some ground rules and expectations along the lines? Okay. You wouldn't launch in at an earlier stage. I know a couple of others who've sort of made a start, so I don't know if it's kind of organic, isn't it? I think and everyone is a unique individual. I mean, some of these people, English isn't their first language. They're international seafarers. We're doing it all virtually, so it's a different environment to those of you who do the Honourable Company mentoring scheme. Which we're in a very different environment with different issues, I think, or barriers to overcome. I think that would be my observation.
I think it's certainly food for thought in terms of how it gets rolled out and how you're signing up and how people are actually committing to be be given or be signed up to a mentor, and then, as you say, the chemistry meetings and who gets assigned the mentors in the first place, or who gets assigned that mentees, or who you're bringing on board. So okay. And my final slide was that one. I'm saying it's over to you. I think the final piece there would be me saying, it's not a science. It takes two in a relationship, and the point that Steve just made, it is a relationship, and the dynamics need to be right. So it's not for everyone. So failure isn't, to be seen by, as in I failed. Nobody will fail. It's that fact, the interest of wanting to be mentor, help and mentor is amazing. So I think it's trying to get it right and then helping, but them understanding what mentoring is about as well. This is why it's about learning for yourselves as well. At the end of the day, I think for me, it can be enriching, satisfying, motivational for you and for them. And as long as you continue to feel that, then that's when, that's when you stop that, then something's going wrong. So that's, I just wanted to pull out some of the key things really to help you put it through, because it's not an easy thing. It doesn't come naturally necessarily, but that was the essence of why I wrote the piece originally. A number of years ago. So any questions or comments?
I have a comment which may perhaps help Steve without a mentee yet. And I only have two, and I've only been in touch with them once or twice, so I'm waiting for them to come back. I don't want to be overly pushy, but it may be that, and I've been very open with the two to whom I have spoken, that I am absolutely not an expert in everything. In fact, I'm not an expert in many things, but I know a bit about some things. And if I am not the right kind of mentor for them where they want to go, then I'm perfectly happy to pass them over to somebody else within our group who does know much more about what they're looking for. But I have encouraged them, this is presumably why they came to, for example, to me in the first place. They're looking for the commercial side. There's one chap who is an engineer on board and wants to get away from engineering and prefers to look at commerce, and that's fine. I can't talk to him about the engineering side because I don't know anything about it. So all I can try and do is encourage him in where he thinks he might want to go, but he may be he may be wrong for himself, and I can't give him that guidance. So I may therefore have to pass on to one of you who does understand the engineering side of things, and that's I think that's the nature of the group. So therefore, Steve, the fact that you don't have anybody yet doesn't mean that you might not perhaps suddenly be flooded with people whom you understand better than us landlubbers, for example. I mean, I'm speaking for myself.
Exactly. It's a very, very well made point. Yeah. Does that help, Steve?
Yeah, it's a dream.
Okay.
Right, so slightly overrun there, but
that's okay. Thanks very much for that, Karen. That was really helpful. We will talk offline about the the toolkit and the separate one for mentees and so on. We'll have a chat. Okay. So the next thing is here. Just going to go back to housekeeping. So here we will just talk about we'll go through if there's anything that we need to update ourselves on. Let's just see here. Darryl, have you got anything to add on here, Darryl? With our general housekeeping.
We just touched on it in the actions. It was just things that are outstanding. I mean, I'm going to say again, anyone who hasn't used the mentors session document, please update that. I've got to do a next funding return at the end of next week, end of July. So I've got to sort of quote numbers to them, and more is happening than is being recorded, put it that way. So do need, if you can go to the Google Doc and use the mentor activity record. Can you see it on the screen now?
Yes,
it's this one.
So this is it here. So you can see that we're not asking for so much information. Your contact details, obviously, the mentee's name, email, the date of the meeting, how you had the method of your meeting.
Just pause. Sorry, just pause there, Carla, just to let you know, I tweaked this slightly on the basis of feedback, because we've added in under the method. You note it says correspondence. Now that's because I think we recognise that a mentor session does not fit into a neat sort of 1 hour face. So, you know, it could take different forms. So I'm suggesting there that it could be a series of correspondence via LinkedIn, email, whatever, WhatsApp, that constitutes a session. And then if you scroll down slightly further, we put in a question, keep going, that says here, you're basically saying, well, I've spent at least 30 minutes. Now we can debate the time, you know, I don't want to split hairs, but to me, if you've spent that amount of time interacting via one of those methods, for as far as I'm concerned, that's a session. You know, feel free to disagree, but to me, that counts as sort of quality time that you've had with that individual. And if you can just confirm, then we can sort of prove that. So does that sound all right for people?
I was going to say, it doesn't have to, like you say, Dale, it doesn't have to be 30 minutes, because a 15-minute in-depth phone call is a lot as well. So it's for you to make your judgment.
Yeah, I think we've got to sort of, there needs to be sort of draw the line at some point. And hopefully it will lead on to a follow-up session. I think a one-off, you know, the impact of that is going to be very minimal. So, you know, it could aggregate up, as I say, you have a conversation, then you have a few LinkedIn messages or something, and then you say, okay, right, that's a session, enter it on the form, and then move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Can I ask, sorry to be a pain, it's always me that I have 4 mentees, if you like, but we haven't formalized that. The people that have reached out to me after the message that I put, we haven't got to a point yet, because we are trying to grow organically, and I'm very strong on the get to know people and see, and all they've really done is say, I'd like some help with my CV, or they've asked a couple of questions. It hasn't got to that point of, so am I now officially your mentor, or are you now officially my mentee? I'm just helping 4 people. So we still filling this. Do they need to know then that I'm putting their name into this to say that they're now my mentee, or how does that work?
Are they signed up to the Coming Ashore program, or have they just come to you from elsewhere?
Yeah, no, they're all signed up.
Okay.
All come through. Different way.
I think it's worth still, if they sign up to the program, I think even if you've just had one mentor session, they've asked you for help with helping them with the CV, I think that's worth recording, because it's not like just a general query. They're asking you for help for something specific like the CV.
So I think it's probably best then that I tell them that whether it is official or not, from our point of view, I will be filling in this form on behalf of the Coming Ashore, because that's how we've interacted and met. Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
I think that's absolutely
is that fair enough, Harold?
I don't know. I think, I don't know if Karen has a view. I mean, it sort of, does it tick the boxes, you know, in the way that mentoring relationship was just described in the toolkit?
I think the way that Fanny's described it, the fact that if they've signed up, the question there was, you know, have they signed up to the program? If they signed up to the program, they have. But I think it goes back to the other thing, the other part of, you know, what does mentoring mean? And it might well be, as I say, I can take it offline, but it might well be we come back with, if you want to go into the mentoring relationship and you're signing up to it, then this is what it will entail, and this is what, you know, is that what you want to commit to? Because otherwise, people like Fender are going to be, you know, 4 people asking her first, and it's you know, other bits of exam. Yeah, it's kind of going to get bitty. And then that's the same as I was saying on one of my slides, in terms of your time and your, you know, how you're feeling about it. It might not feel too good. So I think, what does signing up mean? But I do think it needs to get recorded, and that needs to be made a little bit more official, without, as the point has already been made, not without scaring them off.
Scaring them off, yeah.
Yeah, I think I can definitely go back to them after seeing what you've said, Karen, and say, you know, how do you want to take this forward? Are you interested in doing, you know, a monthly thing, or do you need it more often, or are you just happy that we've talked over your CV and we're done, and it doesn't need to be any more than that if you're happy? So I probably go back to, now that I've got those two, I can go back and ask those questions, which I probably could have done earlier but didn't know how to. So that's really helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Good. Excellent. Okay.
So quick point.
Yeah.
Just on this sort of purely a housekeeping thing. These documents, this form, the work that Karen's done, which is excellent. Where is it? Is it in a folder we can access, or is it in a document with links that we can access? And
yes, it is.
Okay, where's that document?
May I show you a little one?
The Google Docs folder, Nick.
in LinkedIn.
That's the link we put
my
in
screen.
It's
Can
in
you see my
LinkedIn.
screen?
Okay.
Well, okay, let's be honest, that toolkit isn't in there yet.
So
we can add it.
Is more. So I don't have a mentor yet, a mentee yet either. Same as Stephen. So I'm not going to pick any of this stuff up until I have one. So just having if there's a place to go, a folder, a document, whatever, with everything that I need that's in one place, that would be hugely helpful. Because otherwise, when I get a mentee, I will miss filling out the forms and all that sort of thing because I'm a deeply disorganized person.
I've tried to change that.
That's why there's two of you there. Can help. I'll put it in. Yeah, you should have that Google Docs. There's a folder then with documents. I mean, Andrew originally set up the folder, so it's okay. We'll just use that in light. But I'm conscious you're the technical experts, Nick. So if you want to suggest a better way of doing this, I'm very happy to go with some funky portal or something. But we're not quite at that stage. But we are actually developing a VLE off the back of our Learn and See platform. So
we can put it all there. Nick will know about the platform.
Yeah, that's in development. So that's actually where we're going to move to ultimately, move off Google Docs. So we'll have our own hosted site for webinars and all sorts.
Sorry, VLE, is that virtual learning
environment? Virtual learning environment. Yeah.
Better than the LMA one, Jeff. Which
understood.
Well, that's not saying a lot.
Nick, if you've got a better way, let me know.
VLE sounds good. But yeah, I mean, even if it's just a link that's shared around by email.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's somewhere. Be useful. I can't see it in the LinkedIn group. I'm in it now on my phone. I can't.
The LinkedIn group.
Yeah.
You're in it. You're a member.
Mentors.
I can see the group. I just can't see the document or the folder.
No, it's Google Docs. I've just put the link in chat. It's not in LinkedIn. It's a Google Docs.
Okay.
Did you not catch that?
Right. Okay.
We thought you said that you put the link into LinkedIn.
I did
see it all the time rather than in these chats. But again, it makes sense.
Oh yeah. I did a while back. You'd have to scroll right back through all the posts to get to it. But I've just put it in the chat on Teams.
Copy link.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Sure you get that.
Okay. So the next thing is going around to the mentors if they've got anything to say or update us on.
I'm still waiting for people to contact me. I've not had anything from anyone for about a month or so. Carla, you asked me recently.
Yeah.
I've not heard squeak from anybody since the back end of May.
Okay. Who's next? Simon. I haven't heard much. Simon Jones.
Yeah.
Are you there, Simon?
I'm still here. Yeah.
Yeah. Got anything you want to update or share?
No, I still haven't had anything through. I don't know if my speech I did on Spotify has been put up yet. If that's been resolved with Andrew.
We've sorted all sorted, Simon. That should be there. Yeah, it's on Spotify. It's on iTunes, YouTube.
The non-swearing version.
The non. Yeah, and I won't tell you how
version.
much hassle that caused us to edit that out.
Yeah. And it wasn't even you swearing.
I did say that. I was professional throughout.
Yes, of course.
There's that filthy mouth Comroy that did all that sort of swearing.
Well.
Who else we've got there? Steve Cameron.
Gone.
Oh, we had to leave. Okay.
Yeah, gone. No,
okay.
Steve Jones is gone. Has Steve Cameron gone as well?
Oh, Steve Jones is still there. Steve Cameron left about 10-15 minutes ago.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And Fenna and Nick, anything to add?
Nothing else to add. Thank you.
All right.
For me, it's only that I don't have a mentor yet, so there's sort of no mentee yet. Sorry, so no update.
Okay.
It's surprising, Carla, that there are so many people in this group apparently wanting mentors, and yet we've had 2 mentors on here tonight that don't have mentees. Is there a way that can kind of be fixed, or I don't understand what idea? We've got these wonderful people that want to help, and the people that need help are there, but I don't know why it's not working. And then I'm 4, and Jeffrey's got 2. I don't understand why that's not.
Yeah, because when the mentees sign up and we ask them, we tell them about all the mentors, tell them about you all, and we leave it to them to choose a mentor. So I think it's just down to them reading profiles, and when they get round to it, to actually make contact. Because I know that we had a couple of mentees sign up recently, actually just last week, and reach out to Richard, who's not in the meeting today, he couldn't attend, reach out to him. So it is happening, but I guess they're doing it in their own time and picking, and maybe you, because you're not being selected, you think there's nothing going on, but they're just selecting other mentors. Now, what we've done, and Daryl just mentioned it earlier on, Bindu has actually reached out to all the mentees from when the program started back in February. So, so it's quite a few mentees. She's reached out to them and asked them, for an update and to encourage them to choose a mentor if they haven't done so yet. So hopefully you may be contacted again, so all of the mentors may see a flurry of mentees reaching out to them. So that should be over the next few days. But it's if they take the time to actually do it without us forcing them to do it.
Is that not making a huge assumption that the mentee knows what kind of mentor he or she wants?
Well, we've done it on the basis that they would read your pen portrait on our website, which we've directed them to, and initially they will kind of get a feel for who they may be interested in, and then reach out. And then if they're not sure, then maybe they could take guidance from us. But we're leaving it to them initially to make that first step, because they will be the one that have an idea of what they think they would like.
Can I just add? I'm going to have to go in a minute, actually. But what I was going to say was, I'm glad I'm here at this point. Again, I'm happy to take it offline, but have a conversation about how you can encourage them. Because going back to my point in that, as far as the toolkit's concerned, if people understand what mentoring is about and how they can do it, it's encouraging them to do it. They've taken the first step, but you really want them to take the next step, because that will be the success of the program. So it's kind of making sure what that is. At the moment, I agree that those of you just said so. It feels odd that you've kind of got the people of an interest, but they're not coming through. So it's why aren't they? What is it? What do they need? And I call it a WIFM. What's in it for me? As in, do they know what's in it for them? Do they understand what's there? But now they need the help then to understand, how they make the next step. So I think they might need a bit of help in the process. And I think I feel it probably needs some help in driving it. So happy to take that offline with you and Daryl.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that, Karen. Okay, well, we're coming to an end now anyway, and I'll just go to finally. Any other business and update next meeting? Yeah, okay.
I have just one question on this,
sure.
which easily coming to AOB for you.
Yeah.
Following on from what we've just been discussing.
Yeah.
What kind of program do you envisage at, as it were, head office Marine Society to market this better to a much wider audience of potential mentees?
Jeffrey, that's probably an entire agenda or a meeting on its own.
I understand.
It's a very important question, but which we are asking ourselves, but I'm not sure we can bottom it out.
Okay.
So I'd love to pick your brain on that. But I mean, how do you target? We've got targeted Facebook campaign at the moment and so on. But, we've got Crew Connect coming up where we're representing there. We've got Nautilus International promoting us and so on. So we've got some ideas, but that's a difficult one. I think the project's still at an early stage, and it will. What that news will get around and I think yes, we're sitting here thinking, not enough mentees and so on, but I suspect that will turn around fairly soon and we'll be flooded. But just a personal view. So yeah, we may be
at the risk of stating the obvious, and we can chat about this offline if you prefer. I'm happy to do that if you wish, but just one or two ideas immediately spring to mind, other than the cadets colleges. If you give them the idea before they go to sea, or when they're about to go to sea, that is not going to be the end of their life ashore. They may, for example, after 6 years, 8 years, however long, might want to come back. This is how they might be able to do so, and perhaps also through the ship owners associations, Intertanko and Intercargo, both of which are in the city. So there are quite a few doors I could perhaps open if that helps. If that helps.
Okay.
We'd be very grateful for the those associations you mentioned. There's things like Trade Winds and Lloyd's Register, which we haven't tapped into. So anything you can point us in that direction, or use your networking connections to get us to the right person. I'd be very grateful for that.
If you want to call me later on this evening, fine. Otherwise, if you prefer tomorrow morning, that's also fine. It's up to you.
Okay.
I think it's a good point. Yeah, I would agree with Jeffrey as well in terms of trying to get the promotion out. I go back to my talent pipeline. There's never the wrong time to start talking about this topic, because you never know what it's going to be. So people know that actually going to sea isn't the end. That's it. There is a life, and people need to know that that's the whole pipeline. So it's every opportunity that we can get to spread the word for you is very important. So
Okay. So with that, is there any other business from anybody?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, I will send out some proposed date for the next meeting that I think. Go on, Daryl.
Well, only that we've got August, which is traditionally a time when most of us try and take some time off. So I was going to suggest we aim for sort of early September and sort of skip
August.
It makes about sort of six week gap or something, but I'm just thinking,
right now, is that really an issue? Why don't you just ask everybody? Because a lot of people might not be away in August. I won't be, for example.
Well, we haven't got enough. We're not quorate at the moment, so we'll have to.
No, not now. I mean, send a message around to everybody. Just ask them.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do that.
I'm going to disappear now. So, ladies and gentlemen, so thank you very much. Can I just thank you for your time? No, I've enjoyed it. So if anyone's got any other questions, then send me through the on my Gmail account on my I'll get my website going. So, but it's been really lovely. Thank you for the invitation to talk you through it. So it's great.
Thanks for joining us, Karen. Thank you. Okay, speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
We have to go walk the dog as well, I'm afraid. So we're not gonna have to
bringing it to a close now. Okay.
That's no way to talk to Nick.
I'll send out some ideas for dates, and if everyone's happy with August, or we're going to do September. Okay. All right then.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.